Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripatraye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. So we'll continue our series on Simha Guru. So if you all remember, we had 3 sessions before. We had exclusive session on the childhood pastimes of Bimal Prasad. Then we had one exclusive session on the memorable initiation of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And then we had another session on the intense bhajan, intense sadhana of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, where he took a vow of how many names? 1 billion names. And today, we'll have a session on the turning point in the life of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he had 2 spiritual guides. One was his own father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And second one was his Diksha Guru, Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. So when Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was just 40 years old, so at that time, consecutively, in consecutive years, these 2 great personalities disappeared. First, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was in Godrum Dweep. This was in 1910. And he got severely paralyzed. He was not able to speak, not able to move. And one thing was very clear. The great souls who would see Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say that he goes to Samadhi, and whenever he wishes, by his own sweet will, he comes back to consciousness. That was the situation. So his family members were very worried. So they took him to Kolkata for treatment. But then the condition was deteriorating day by day. And it is described that it was appearing as if in some months Bhaktivinoda Thakur will leave. Now at this point of time, what happened is, there were many people who were against Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They were very happy. And they were all having party time. And they're all speaking to each other. See, this is the karmic reaction of this personality. Therefore, he's suffering like this now. Now, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati heard this. He went to his father and he said, see, this is what everyone is speaking. And I know this is your Leela. I would request you, please stay for some more days. And after that, you may leave. And just with this request, Bhaktivinoda Thakur recovered in some time. These are our acharyas. They do Leela. They are not like us mortal beings who are forced to take birth and forced to die. It's their own sweet will. So he recovered and he started walking, paralyzed person. He started walking, he started doing various different activities. But then one fine day when Bhaktivinoda Thakur decided he left this world, this was 22nd June 1914. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had built a house in Kolkata named Bhakti Bhavan. So there he left this mortal world to enter the divine abode. At that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was in Mayapur. And the news came to Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And by the time he reached, it was evening 8 o'clock, and already his brothers, they had done the cremation of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So when Sri Siddhanta Saraswati reached there, he looked at his mother, and it is described that she was calm, she was composed, there was no grief on her face, no sadness. And at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he went close to his mother, and then he said, "Today is one of the great happiness and not the slightest grief. Today our Master has re-entered the eternal pastimes of the Lord. Now it is our duty to remember his eternal position, name, qualities, form, and pastimes. Henceforth, we will follow in his footsteps even more concentratedly." It's very difficult for ordinary people to understand the conversations of great personalities. Husband has died and she's not worried, she's not crying. And here another person is saying, the son of the person who has expired, that person is coming and telling his own mother, "It's a great joy today." It's a great joy. This is the case, when a personality becomes pure devotee and then he leaves. And what to talk about Bhaktivinoda Thakur? He is Nitya Siddha. He's a Manjari assisting Radha and Krishna in spiritual world. At that time, his mother, she said, "He departed after offering you plenteous blessings. He repeatedly mentioned your firm faith in Shuddha Bhakti and instructed that you should serve Sridham Mayapur and propagate the message of Sriman Mahaprabhu." So this was told by Bhaktivinoda Thakur to his wife. Now his wife, the mother of Saraswati Thakur, is telling him. Just few weeks before Bhaktivinoda Thakur left, he had called Saraswati Thakur. And there was a very deep conversation that took place. In that conversation, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he expressed his manobhishta, his internal desire to Saraswati Thakur, and he gave him instructions. First he said, established Daiva Varnashrama. Second, preach Shuddha Bhakti. Third, develop Sridham Mayapur. And fourth, publish Vaishnava writings. And he elaborated this. And he said, worldly people are proud of their aristocratic birth and they cannot attain to actual aristocracy. That is the abode of the Lord. Therefore, they attack pure Vaishnavas. And how do they attack? They claim that these people are all sinful, therefore they have taken birth in a very low-grade families. Thus they commit offenses. The means to rectify the situation is to institute Daiva Varnashrama Dharma. You have started to do that. Know it to be real service to Vaishnavas. So to establish Daiva Varnashrama was the instruction by Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Saraswati Thakur. And just imagine how wonderful is our parampara. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to establish this also. And he has told us that this is one of his mission. And now where is it coming? We get to know from here. It's coming from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Then he said, due to lack of Shuddha Bhaktisiddhanta Prachar, due to lack of preaching of pure devotional service, all manner of womanish, bad theories and instructions are being called as devotion by pseudo-sampradayas such as Sahajiya and Ativadi. Always crush these anti-devotional conceptions by Bhaktisiddhanta Prachar and proper Achar. See, our Acharyas, they don't do anything independently. If our Acharya, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, is called a Simha Guru, who asked him to become Simha? Who asked him to roar? And here is an instruction. You see, our Acharyas will not do anything independently. They always follow the instructions in the parampara. And here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that you have to roar. You have to crush these anti-devotional conceptions. How? by preaching about Shuddha Bhakti and by your own personal achar. Then he said, try to begin the parikrama of Sridham Navadvip as soon as possible. Thereby everyone in the universe can receive Krishna Bhakti. So today in iskcon, the Navadvip Mandal parikrama that is taking place is the instruction coming down from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Therefore, we see that everything that we do can be mapped to previous acharyas. Because Srila Prabhupada made it very clear that whatever we have to do it for the pleasure of previous acharyas. And see, all that we are doing, is here listed. Then he said, diligently endeavor to ensure that service to Sri Mayapur becomes permanently established and more resplendent each day. A very, very important instruction which even Srila Prabhupada repeated to his disciples. Genuine service to Sri Mayapur is not Nirjan Bhajan, but to establish a printing press and to propagate devotional books and Namhatta. This is the mood of our acharyas that is coming down, and that's a gift that is given to us by Srila Prabhupada. No Nirjan Bhajan. Print books, distribute books, preach. Prabhupada said, no, work now, samadhi later. And he continues, do not for your own sake undertake Nirjan Bhajan and thus impede preaching and service to Sri Mayapur. So according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, service to Sri Mayapur is preaching. So this is a very important point to note. And he says, when I am no longer present, take care to serve your dear Sri Mayapur Dham. This is my special instruction to you. People who are like animals can never attain devotion, never accept their advice. But do not let them know this either directly or indirectly. Don't tell them कि आप लोगों को कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Yes. And then he mentioned a very important point. I had a special desire to propagate the importance of such books. Like materialists in this world say, no, मैं डॉक्टर नहीं बन पाया तो मैं चाहता हूँ कि तुम डॉक्टर बनो. Yes. See, the spiritual line, what desires they have and what they expect their subordinates to do. I had a special desire to propagate the importance of such books as Srimad Bhagavatam, Shat Sandarbha and Vedanta Darshan. Now you must assume that responsibility. Sri Mayapur will prosper if we inaugurate an educational institution there. And see, Srila Prabhupada established Mayapur Institute for Higher Education. In this way, we see that Srila Prabhupada has presented or executed all these different instructions. And one very important instruction that is very much valid for us as well even now. Never try to amass knowledge or money for your own sense gratification. They should be acquired only for Krishna's service. It's very astonishing that how Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving this instruction to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Both are Nitya Siddhas. But there's such an important instruction for sadhakas in general that this instruction is given so that we all can implement in our day-to-day life. Never try to amass knowledge or money for your own sense gratification. They should be acquired only for Krishna's service. And Prabhupada said this in his lectures also, in his purports as well, that earn just to keep the body and soul together, not for sense gratification. And then he says, never take bad association either for money or any personal interest. Asat Sanga Tyag, Ei Vaishnavachar. So this is the point that is repeated. So in this way, this was the very important event that took place in Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life. This was June 22nd, 1914, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur left. And in December 27th, in the same year, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he established the Pushpa Samadhi of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Swananda Sukhada Kunja in Godrum Dweep. Now when you go to Godrum Dweep to take darshan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house, so there we have the beautiful Samadhi Mandir. So that is the Pushpa Samadhi. And at this time, so after this particular work, then see Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he took up the work of publishing the Sajjan Toshini. That was the magazine, if I'm not wrong, which was regularly published by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And also he took up the work of publishing the unpublished scriptures by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is the mood. So wonderful. This was in the year 1914. 1915 was another very, very important event that took place in Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life. On Utthana Ekadashi at Rani Dharmashala, Koladvip, Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj left this world. I don't know if you can make out also what does it mean. Back to back, the spiritual masters are leaving. It's a very, very painful thing. Very, very painful thing. Because these two personalities were the life and soul of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. Life and soul. 1914, Bhaktivinoda Thakur left. 1915, Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj left. And when Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj left, so this was in Koladvip, and there a lot of people came, the different Mathadipatis of different Math, and all of them they were claiming, this body belongs to us. We will do Samadhi. And the entire goal was, we will build Samadhi Mandir and we will get a lot of donation. Because a lot of visitors will come, they will give donation. Now when all this chaos was going on, at that time, there were few genuine people around that place. Hiralal Goswami and others. They sent a devotee called Krishna Chaitanya Das to get Saraswati Thakur. Because Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was in Mayapur and now the body of Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj is in Koladvip. So the message was sent. And now Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he came on the boat, crossing over the river, and he came to Rani Dharmashala, Koladvip, barefoot. He was not wearing any footwear. It was Chaturmas that was going on, and there was some special vrata where Sri Siddhanta Saraswati had everything green. Even his chadar was green. Because the color green represents Vipralamba Bhav. So he was having everything green. And since Chaturmas was going on, so he hadn't shaved his hair or his beard. So, everything was there. So long hair, long beard. And he entered that arena. Now since the chaos was so much, even the inspector had to come there to make sure that the peace is maintained. So at that time, all the Babajis looking at Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, they started saying that he is not a sannyasi. Where is the question of he getting qualification to do Samadhi of a Babaji? Because he is a sannyasi, he is a Babaji. So he cannot be, or Saraswati Thakur, he does not have any qualification to give Samadhi to this divine form of Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. So at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati went wild. In the loud, thunderous voice, he said, I am the only disciple and the only disciple of Paramhams Das Babaji Maharaj. Paramhams Babaji Maharaj, that is Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. Even though I have not accepted sannyas, I must celebrate brahmachari by Babaji Maharaj's mercy. I am not secretly addicted to abominable activities, abominable habits. Then he challenged everyone standing there. A lot of people were there, a lot of Babajis. He challenged. He who within last 1 year or 6 months or 1 month or in last 3 days has not contacted any female, that is illicit sexual connection, he can come and touch the spiritual body of my spiritual master. Now the police who was standing there, he was asking, but how will we get to know that this particular thing, if they are genuine or not? So Sri Siddhanta, with again a thundering voice looking at everyone, I will have faith and believe in the words of these people if they say that. And then he said a nice thing, that if anyone else touches it, that person will be ruined completely. I was just thinking about it, who will come to touch? And it was very astonishing for everyone, and the police also, that one by one the Babajis, they turned and they started leaving. they left that place. So at that time, there were few people who were telling the last wish of Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj was that he should be dragged on the streets of Sridham Mayapur so that he can bathe, so that his body can be bathed in the dust of the holy dham. And at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati said, although we are fools, inexperienced and offenders, we will still not be disinclined to understand the true meaning of those humility-filled words which were spoken by my Gurudev. And this was spoken in order to destroy the pride of worldly-minded people. So these words were the words of humility. And these words are so great that they can pierce the heart of worldly-minded people. And then he says, for even Krishna Chandra, Lord Sri Krishna, personally thinks himself to be successful if he carries my Sri Gurudev on his head or shoulders. Even Lord Krishna will take pleasure carrying my Gurudev on his head and shoulder. And then he said, following the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who held the body of Haridas Thakur and danced, we shall also bear the divine form of Babaji Maharaj's spiritual, blissful body on our heads. And in this way, they carried the body and they did the Samadhi of Gaur Kishnodas Babaji Maharaj. In this way, we see that because our Acharyas were so strong, they never allowed any Apasampradaya element to enter our Sampradaya. They were doing that cleaning work. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has established the entire system of Bhakti Vriksha. And it goes still higher and higher. Bhakti Vrikshas, and above that we have a sector, and above that Upachakra, Chakra, Mandala. Mandala means 108 Bhakti Vrikshas. And it goes higher and higher and higher. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he describes all this, he says that I am just a sweeper in the entire system. Because they take the position of a sweeper to remove all the kachra that comes in between. Yes, that's what our acharyas have been doing. Now just imagine when two great personalities left, what would have taken place in the life of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati? We understand when Srila Prabhupada left, there was such a dark phase that was there in iskcon. Same thing happened when Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left. There was a dark phase in Gaudiya Math. And now here we see that two great personalities, they left. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was in great pain. After some days, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati started his various discourses. And there was a personality, his name was Kunja Bihari. He was attending the sessions. And one day, he approached for initiation from Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And he was telling that I would like to arrange a place in Kolkata so that you can start preaching. Now, all this was the talk. And during that time, when Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was engaged in his intense bhajan, in the mood of separation from his spiritual masters, he was always remembering what was told by his spiritual masters. Because they had this very intense desire, both the spiritual guides, Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that preaching work has to proceed. It has to expand. And especially after their departure, this instruction was weighing on Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. He was feeling very heavy that he has to do something on these lines now. And he was feeling a great separation from these two great personalities. And he was remembering the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that aside from separation from a devotee of Krishna, there is no other suffering. Already he was feeling that pain, and along with that, he's remembering the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that there is no other pain in the life of a devotee apart from separation from other devotees. And at that time, he humbly considered and he started talking to himself. How shall I preach to the world the pure message of Sri Chaitanya and establish the heart's desire of my gurus? How will I do this? You can find a parallel even in Prabhupada's life. Prabhupada in his Grihastha life, he would make this, he would contemplate on this. Such a heavy instruction is given to me. How will I execute this instruction? And Saraswati Thakur, he continues, he says, I have no support of people, no support of wealth, and I do not have any learning or intelligence which can attract the common people. This is called humility. Even when the person is such a great scholar, he still feels himself to be illiterate, not learned. That night he took rest. And that was a divine revelation on that day. He saw in his trance that Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas and other associates, they all from the east entered the Yoga Pit. He's able to see that in his divine trance. The Natya Mandir of Sri Yoga Pit, and Yoga Pit, I hope everyone knows, it's a place where Lord Chaitanya appeared. And when they entered that place became extremely effulgent. And they were not just these personalities. Along with them, there were other three great personalities. Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. They were there and various other previous acharyas. And they gave him many assurances and told him, hear this carefully, very nice. You don't worry at all. These are the words of these personalities. You don't worry at all. With supreme enthusiasm, preach the conclusion of pure devotion. In intense earnestness, chant the glories of the name, abode, form, attributes, associates, and pastimes of Godhead at various places. All of us will help you. There is no need to worry. The support of unlimited people, countless wealth, and boundless learning await the blessing of being engaged in the service of your preaching. They will be received when they are necessary. No type of worldly hindrance or danger will be able to make any obstruction for this great work of yours. We are always with you. There's a divine revelation. Till that date, Sri Siddhanta was always morose. And all the other disciples of his, whoever were there, associates, they would look at the face of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And they would feel very sad. But after this day, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was extremely effulgent and he was extremely blissful. And devotees could make out that something has taken place. Now, just to act on this instruction given by the previous acharyas, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati took a very, very important step in his life. See, first and foremost, now he did not have any spiritual master. There was no one around who was capable to take the position of spiritual master of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And he had no god brothers because he was the only disciple of Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And more importantly, he himself was a realized soul. And he had this intense desire that I have to preach. So then he thought that without taking sannyas, how can I preach? Now, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in our line, we didn't have sannyasis. There was no saffron color. There was only white color. There were only Babajis after that. And now there was a turning point in the Sampradaya again. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now there was a turning point. And now Sri Siddhanta Saraswati is thinking about sannyas. So on 26th of March 1918, he put a cloth on his face. An entire day he chanted. Incessant chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Incessant chanting. And next day, 27th of March 1918 was Gaur Purnima. And he decided, today I'll take sannyas. Now, understanding that there is no personality who is eligible to give me sannyas, what he did was, anyways he had knowledge from his South Indian tour. Because when he was in Jagannath Puri, from there he had gone to South India and there he had met the Sri Vaishnavas and he had amazing information from them about the Vaishnav sannyas. How Tridandi sannyasi has to live, what he is supposed to do, what is the procedure to take sannyas, all that. So now, all that was coming into picture. So there was Tridanda, the three sticks together that was kept in front of the divine photo of Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he sat in front of the photo. Now the Tridanda is there in front. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he went into a deep meditation. And then he came out of his meditation. He accepted that Tridanda. And he accepted a name for himself. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And this was at the age of 44. Don't try this at home. Yes, only these acharyas can do this. Only they can do. We cannot. And I'm sure no one will dare to try this at home. So now in our sampradaya, you can see in our altar also. So at this point, again saffron started. The saffron color emerged again. And this was specially for one thing, that is for preaching. Therefore, even Prabhupada says that there is no question of taking sannyas in the age of Kali. In fact, it's prohibited. But we take sannyas just for one thing, that is preaching the message of Krishna consciousness. Now, on the same day of Gaur Purnima, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So till now you are Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. Now he became Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he established the Chaitanya Mutt in Mayapur, and he revealed the service to Sri Gandharvika Giridhari and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deity was very special because he took a vow in front of this deity to perform his chanting of billion names, the Dhrida Vrata that he had at that time. And he installed these deities, Sri Gandharvika Giridhari. Mahaprabhu was kept besides them. And it described that he remained for some time in Mayapur to oversee all the procedures, all the worship if properly happening or not. So in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mutt was established. So by the way, till now Gaudiya Mutt is not into picture. So that will come, that will emerge in the future preaching activities. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he started his movement. His preaching is what he wanted to do. He has taken sannyas. He has established Chaitanya Mutt with few followers, few helpers, with practically no funds. But with lot of enemies, he began preaching a movement. At the end of March, so March 27th is what he took sannyas. At the end of March, at Krishna Nagar Town Hall, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave an exhaustively researched lecture titled Vaishnav Darshan. Then again in May, same year, he spent 10 days with his several disciples at a Vaishnav conference in Daulatpur near Khulna, where he initiated 2 more disciples, and there he established a place called Bhakti Vinod Asan. The Bhakti Vinod Asan was specially established as a center for Vaishnav gatherings and propagation of Shuddha Bhakti. Now remember this Bhakti Vinod Asan, it's a very important name for us. We'll come to this again. So in the same place in Daulatpur, there was one resident. Now this pastime is very important because this talks about the power, the purity of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur when he was preaching. So there was a great Pandit, his name was Sri Rama Gopal Vidyabhushan. He would dress in nice fashionable clothes and he had a French cut. And right from his youth, he was addicted to tobacco. In every few minutes, he'll pop in some more tobacco. Like that, he was doing throughout his life. Looking at this disgusted fellow, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, "The Vaishnavas will prepare and give you the most fragrant varieties of tobacco from India and throughout the world, which you may bring 100 yards away into the field and offer it to Krishna." Now, by the way, he's actually not talking about tobacco. Yes, so we can understand. All intoxicants are under Krishna's monopoly, to be accepted only as ingredients for his enjoyment. By trying to enjoy that meant for Krishna's pleasure, the jiva becomes a slave of intoxication. If we offer tobacco to Krishna, his senses are satisfied. But if we enjoy it ourselves, it will gradually reduce our sensory potency and humanness. So these few words he spoke. Basically, the point was everything in this world is meant for Krishna's pleasure. But when you use it for yourself, that will just deteriorate you and destroy you. And these words pierced the heart of this Pandit. And from that day onwards, he gave up the fashionable clothes, he gave up eating tobacco, and he started wearing dhoti kurta. Can you imagine the power and the purity of our Acharya? How great! In few words, they can change a person who is completely addicted to an intoxicant without need of any rehabilitation center. Just think about it. This is the power. This is the purity. We are so fortunate to be in this parampara, which is led by these acharyas. So from that place, he returned to Mayapur, and from there he went to Kolkata. This was 7th June. He performed many programs, many harikathas, many kirtans in different houses of respectable, honorable people in that area. Then he led a group of 23 disciples to Yatra cum preaching tour to Orissa. In Orissa they preached, and finally their Yatra culminated in Jagannath Puri during Rath Yatra time. In this way, his preaching began. But now to preach, you always need a center. So Mayapur was the base of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But for your information, we are talking about 1918. And at that time, in fact, it is described when Prabhupada sent a few of his disciples to start preaching to start temple construction in Mayapur. It was a jungle. This is we're talking in 1970s. Now just imagine 1918. So at that time, Mayapur was remote and just it was surrounded by various thick, dense jungles, forests. Now after establishing the Sri Chaitanya Mutt in Mayapur, which is a very important place for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So at that time, he started doing short visits to Kolkata. And there he would go and give various discourses. There was one person who would come regularly for the class, and his name was Sri Sharai Chaudhary. And he made a very profound point after one class. And he said, your doctrine of Mahaprabhu is certainly glorious, powerful, unparalleled. But how many seekers will come to Mayapur to hear you? Kolkata is a huge cosmopolitan city with people from all over the world. If we can arrange for you to stay here, faithful persons from diverse places will have the good fortune to hear you. So basically his point was, please come to Kolkata and settle. You open a center here so that people from all around can come and hear your glorious pravachans. You all remember we spoke about Kunja Bihari Prabhu? Yes, he was the one who had proposed that you should start preaching in Kolkata. So he and this personality, Sri Sharai Chaudhary, both of them, they spoke to Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he agreed. And it is described that they obtained a house in November 1918 on Ulta Danga Junction Road. Yes. So many Bhakti Vinod asanas were already established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in different places. But this place was very special. And all the disciples of Saraswati Thakur would call this place as Bhakti Vinod asana specially. And this place, it was a house. On the ground floor, there was a large room which was meant for guest reception. On the first floor, there were 4 Grihastha disciples staying with their families. Just for our purification, the names are as follows. Shripad Kunja Bihari Vidyabhushan, Shripad Jagadish Bhakti Pradeepa, Shripad Haripad Vidyaratna Kavi Bhushan, Shripad Yashoda Nandana Bhagavata Bhushan. So these 4 personalities, they were Grihasthas. They were staying with their families on the first floor. And on the roof, that is second floor, that's the roof terrace, there was an arrangement for 250 people to sit. And there was a small chamber in which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur stayed. And there it was opulence for him because he had all the books, he had different manuscripts of different acharyas. And whenever he had to refer before giving his different discourses, he would take those books and relish reading those books. And this terrace is very, very important for all the iskcon devotees. This was established in 1918. And in 1922, Abhay Charan Babu, or Abhay Babu, he came with his friend to the same place and they paid obeisance to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was sitting there and giving pravachan to so many people. And when they got up, even before they got up, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave that divine instruction that you are educated men, you should preach in English to the Western world. And because of that one instruction on this building, on Ulta Danga Road called Bhakti Vinod Asan, today all of us we are sitting here and hearing the glories of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati under one shelter which is called as International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So wonderful. Now this Kunj Bihari Prabhu, he took the management of Bhakti Vinod Asan. It's very fascinating to know that after a few months, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he established Gaudiya Maths. And there were 64 Gaudiya Maths all around India. And that was managed by one Grihastha devotee. So Grihasthas were doing the management of these different Maths. And the Brahmacharis and Sannyasis, they were just busy executing 64 Angas of Bhakti and preaching. That's it. They were not into management. It's very nice to note. So Kunj Bihari Prabhu was the one who would invite a lot of reputed people to Bhakti Vinod Asan. And many people would come, many learned souls would come there. And they would sit and humbly hear the pravachan given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In fact, many editors from the English daily newspaper, they would also come. One of the newspaper name is Amrita Bazar Patrika. And there was another one called the Bengali. So that was Bengali newspaper called Bengali. So they would regularly print the discourses of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Not an ordinary acharya. So there were a few followers initially. And with time, when the glories of our acharya spread all across, many people came to that place. And they started becoming, they started hearing and they started becoming disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He's called a Simha Guru. And here is one example why he's called a Simha Guru. This was in the same year, December 1918. One of the tasks that was given to him by Bhaktivinoda Thakur was that he had to remove the kachra of Apasampradaya. And he took this instruction as life and soul and would go to different places wherever this Apasampradaya Sahajiyas were there. And he would go there and speak against these people. And especially at one point in December, he came to districts of Jaisur and Khulna. In Khulna, he had established Bhaktivinoda Asan. I mentioned that. He came with 10 devotees. When I was reading this, I was feeling as if some Don is entering with his followers. So he enters that place, Jaisur and Khulna, with 10 of his followers. And now the entire thing was, he wanted to preach against the Jat Gosais, the caste Goswamis. Now see, Jaisur was a place where there were many Smarta Brahmanas and these caste Goswamis. And there was one leader, his name was Priyanath Nandi. Now this Nandi's guru, he had given him a title Bhakti Vinod. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati couldn't take it. There's only one Bhakti Vinod. And we know what he started doing. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he started speaking about it, writing articles that how can someone have the same title Bhakti Vinod when there's a Mahabhagat was present as his own contemporary. He started condemning this. So even Nandi, he was not quiet. He was speaking from the other side. And he was criticizing. And he was writing articles. He was speaking against Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Then 2 disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Sri Gaura Govinda Vidyabhushan and Sri Priyanath Mukherjee, They wrote a book now called Pratipa Priyanather Pratyuttara, a reply to the opponent Priyanath Nandi. There's a book that was written. See, there were sophisticated fights that would take place based on Shastra. Not like now the ones which take place on Instagram and YouTube and other places. Sophisticated fights. And ultimately, in the Jaisur village, this Nandi, he confronted, or I should say Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur confronted Nandi, and in front of a huge public, he defeated him. And this was the showdown. After this, nothing that was remaining. And this entire thing ended on 1st January 1919. And Bhakti Vikas Maharaj writes it as, with Gala Sankirtan in the town of Bongao, following which the party returned to Bhakti Vinodasam. So you see, these acharyas, especially Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he would just roar and roar and roar because he was instructed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now in this year, 1919, a very important event took place. On 5th February 1919, this was the Avirbhav Tithi of Sri Vishnupriya Devi. Who is Vishnupriya Devi? The concert of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now at Ulta Danga Junction Road, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did a very, very important activity. He re-established Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Vishwa Vaishnav Sabha as Vishwa Vaishnav Raj Sabha. He re-established this Sabha again. Now I was very inquisitive to know why this name. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he came as a Vaishnav just to preach about Vaishnavism, especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So the king of all Vaishnavas in the world is called as Vishnu Vaishnava Raja. And this Sabha was called as Sri Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha. So this was basically the get-together of all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So it is described that this Sabha is eternal because followers of the Lord are eternal, Lord is eternal. But 3 times this Sabha descended into this world. First time, when Lord Chaitanya was present here on this planet doing his earthly pastimes. And when he left, 11 days after he left, so this Sabha was established. And this was headed by Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. And later, after their departure, this was headed by other 2 great personalities, Jiva Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. After they left, then the director of the Sabha was Narottam Das Thakur. And after that, it was Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And all those people who would claim that we are part of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they were by default, they were part of this Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha. And now, when that got dissolved, and we understand that when Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared on this planet, there was a huge chaos in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya because of the upper Sampradayas which were around. If I'm not wrong, 13 upper Sampradayas, 13 or 14 of them listed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They created ruckus to an extent that if someone has to give some bad words to some other person, they would say, Gaudiya Vaishnav. Yes, now people say Kutte, Gade, like that they would say Gaudiya Vaishnav. They would use like that. So at that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he preached fiercely. And then he re-established this Vishwa Vaishnav Sabha. That was second time. And third time now, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur left this world, and again, the sort of gloomy weather. So at that time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to unite all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, he established this Vishwa Vaishnava and he added the word Raja Sabha on 5th February 1919. Very, very important event. And what would take place in this Sabha? Conventions of Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha were held each year in Mayapur after Navadvip Dham Parikrama. And many Tripura kings would join for this because they were the chairpersons. And the main highlight was the speech given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he was the one who would lead the Sabha. There were some other sannyasis also, other leaders also. And one of the features was those devotees, the deserving candidates they would be given Sanskrit titles. If you see the disciples' names, everyone had some title. So these titles were given, and these were personally coined by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura in Sanskrit. So in this way, we see that this great Acharya, following in the footsteps of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was doing his wonderful services around. And today, we devotees, when we come together and we are sitting together discussing Krishna Katha, we should be very, very grateful to these Acharyas. Because if they wouldn't have cleaned the garbage that was there, we would have never come. We would never come to Bhakti because the smell of the garbage was very obnoxious. Where is the question of coming to a place where there's a lot of garbage? These personalities are the ones who have cleaned this place and they've given it to us. And now, we are the ones, we are adding garbage to it. Yes. Therefore, see, we have to understand one thing, that we are part of this glorious Sampradaya. And the expectation of our Acharyas is very clear. They have given it very clearly, the thing that I read in the start of the class, that how they want us to practice Shuddha Bhakti. Shuddha Bhakti means Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. And when we say pure devotional service, it means executing the 64 Angas of Bhakti 24/7. This is what they wanted us to do. They did not want us to do anything else apart from this. Because when it comes to our Sampradaya, the Gaudiya Sampradaya, we are very clear. There's no question of many lifetimes, one lifetime business. No many lifetime business. Therefore, our Acharyas, they have condemned this again and again. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. They have condemned this more and more in their writings and other things. Just because that takes many lifetimes. And therefore, our Acharyas have given us this one very, very important gift that's called Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. And we, as the followers of the Sampradaya, with awe and reverence, we have to receive this gift of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. And our entire life should be only for executing Shuddha Bhakti, that's Achar, and second is Prachar of Shuddha Bhakti. If we can do this, that will be a great service to this entire parampara of these glorious Acharyas. And also you see, there is an instruction that is there to be heavy on those people who spoil this moment of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. And Prabhupada coined the term Krishna consciousness. So anything that spoils or anything that hinders the Krishna consciousness moment, devotees have to be heavy on that and make sure that the purity is maintained throughout. Because this moment should remain, obviously will remain, but our job is to keep it clean for next 10,000 years. And now in our short presence in this material world, for few years, whatever we are going to, for few years we are going to live on this planet. So one thing that we have to do is that we have to make sure that we practice Shuddha Bhakti and we preach Shuddha Bhakti to go back home, back to Godhead. Or else, again and again we'll be coming to this world and it's nice, we'll keep hearing Katha of these great Acharyas. But what's the point if we cannot execute the instructions given by the Acharyas? You see, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives instruction, Saraswati Thakur is executing. Then he repeats the instruction, Prabhupada is executing. Prabhupada is repeating the instruction, his disciples are executing. We are grand disciples. And now it's our duty to execute the instructions given by these Acharyas. Therefore, I always make this point whenever we speak about Acharyas, that we have to become the pure, eligible instruments in the hands of the Acharyas so that they can use us and do whatever is necessary in this world as a service to spread Shuddha Bhakti. Now, how much purity we maintain in terms of our practice, in terms of our understanding, in terms of our various different activities, it matters a lot. It matters a lot. So whenever we think of deviating from the path of pure devotional service, doing some material activity and absorbing there, we should always remind ourselves, I belong to Gaudiya Parampara. Gaudiya Parampara means Shuddha Bhakti Parampara. And what I'm supposed to do is do Shuddha Bhakti only and nothing else. So this way our acharyas have preached, very nicely. In the future session we will see that how Gaudiya Math comes into picture and how our Simha Guru roars more and more and more to dissipate the darkness of Mayavad, dissipate the darkness of Apasampradaya. Thank you very much. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Maharaj ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.